memory.
Memory. How does that work?
Think of the sleeping woman as a screen. Because she is asleep, because she has no personality, no voice, no agency in that moment, she becomes a pure vessel. The source says, each young woman holds the silence of what the old man has lost.
That's poetic, but break that down for me. What is he actually doing in that room?
He lies next to them. He listens to the rhythm of their breathing. He smells their skin. He feels their warmth. He sees the texture of their hair. These sensory inputs trigger vivid, overpowering flashbacks. He remembers loves he lost. He remembers his mother. He remembers versions of himself that no longer exist. The girl is the catalyst.
So he's using them as a time machine.
In a sense, it is existential reclamation. He is retrieving his identity. He can't relive those days physically. His body's too old, too withered, but he can relive them existentially by being in the presence of this dormant youth.
It's a very different dynamic than Kipesh. Kipesh wants to possess the woman to prove he is still here in the present. Iguchi wants to be near the woman to prove he was there in the past.
That is a brilliant distinction. Kipesh is fighting for the now. Iguchi is drowning in the then.
But there's a common thread here, isn't there? I mean, we have these two very different men, two very different cultures, but they're both fixated on the same object, the young woman.
This is the core of the analysis our source provides. They call the young woman a temporal mirror.
A temporal mirror, I like that term.
Think about it. In both texts, the woman isn't chosen because the man desires her specific personality or her mind. Consuela is barely a character to Kipesh. She's a body, a masterpiece. The sleeping beauties don't even have names we care about. They are asleep. They are chosen because they represent what aging fears most. They are the measuring stick of time.
So when these men look at these women, they aren't seeing her. They are seeing the distance between who they are now and who they used to be.
Exactly. And the source highlights a tough truth here. The young woman is treated not as an independent self, but as a means to restore a masculine self threatened by extinction.
That's a bitter pill. It's basically saying, I am terrified of disappearing, so I am going to use your vitality to anchor myself to reality.
Yes, it's parasitic in a way. Let's look at the contrasting utility. For Kipesh in the Roth novel, the utility is proof of life. He uses the woman to maintain his glory, to compensate for feeling weak. It's an aggressive act. I conquer, therefore I am. He needs her to be awake and responding to him to validate him.
And for Iguchi.
For Iguchi in the Kawabata novel, the utility is nostalgia. The woman is a vessel. It's a passive act. I remember, therefore I survive. He needs her to be asleep so she doesn't interrupt his projection of the past.
But in both cases, the woman is dehumanized. She becomes a tool for the man's existential crisis.
Correct. Whether it is American aggression or Japanese asceticism, the mechanism is the same. The aging man uses the vitality of the woman to patch the holes in his own leaking boat.
I want to zoom out a bit to the big picture, because the source frames this as a cultural divide. We have these two strategies for dealing with death fighting it or contemplating it. What do these books really tell us about the cultures that produce them?
This is where the deep dive gets really profound for me. On one side, you have Roth's American realism. It's blunt, it's crude, it refuses to look away.
It's very individualistic, isn't it? The American hero stands alone against the world.
Even against death. Roth places the reader directly in front of what the source calls the shocking gap between consciousness and the aging body. You feel the panic. It creates psychological pressure.
I felt it just listening to you describe Kipesh. That anxiety of, I'm running out of time.
That is the intent. The confrontation with death in the American context is a live, painful struggle. It is a fight to hold on to the self. Because in the West, we are terrified of the loss of self. We equate self with existence. If I am not imposing my will on the world, do I even exist?
And the Japanese perspective. How does Kawabata handle that loss of self?
Kawabata offers Japanese aesthetics, specifically concepts rooted in Buddhist thought. It is elegant, quiet, and beautiful. Instead of a fight, he transforms the experience into a philosophical meditation.
The source mentions something about silence. That silence isn't just nothing.
Yes, this is key. In the West, we often think of silence as emptiness, as a void to be filled with noise or action. But the source argues that for Kawabata, silence is a space for thinking. It allows one to coexist with the fragility of the body calmly.
Go exist with fragility. That's a beautiful phrase, but it's hard to do.
It is remarkably difficult. Roth's character is trying to fix the fragility or deny it. Kawabata's character is sitting with it. He isn't trying to close the gap between youth and age. He is observing it. He accepts that the flower blooms and the flower fades. The fading is part of the beauty.
Whereas for Kapesh, the fading is a failure.
Exactly, a failure of will, a failure of strength.
So literature here isn't just telling a story. It's giving us a menu of options.
It is a toolkit. The source argues that these books are teaching us how to face the end. We can choose the path of force, will, and awareness, the Roth path. Or we can choose the path of calm acceptance and contemplation, the Kawabata path.
It's funny because the acceptance path sounds nicer. Sounds more enlightened, doesn't it? But if I'm honest, the resistance path feels more human. Or maybe just more familiar to me. Like, I don't want to go gently into that good night. I want to rage. I want to be Kapesh, minus the creepy behavior, of course. But I want the fight.
And that is likely your cultural programming speaking. That is the beauty of this comparison. It shows us that our reaction to mortality isn't just biological instinct. It is shaped by the stories we tell. If you grow up on stories of heroes winning against the odds, death looks like a defeat. If you grow up on stories of seasons changing and cherry blossoms falling, death looks like a transition.
A powerful idea that we are trained on how to die.
We are, and these books are the training manuals.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier regarding the characters themselves. We've been very critical of how these men use women, and rightly so. But is there any redemption for them in the text? Or are they just pathetic old men in the end?
That's a tough question. I think the source suggests that the redemption, if there is any, comes from their honesty. They aren't lying to themselves about what they are doing.
They know they are desperate.
They do, and in that desperation, they reveal the human condition. Kipesh knows he is ridiculous. He analyzes his own obsession constantly. Eguchi knows he is crossing a moral line. He feels the shame of it. But they do it because the fear of non-being is so strong. They are showing us the extreme lengths the human ego will go to just to say, I am still here.
So let's summarize this journey we've been on. We started with David Kapesh. Desperate, sexual, fighting tooth and nail to stay relevant, using vitality as a shield against the objective ferocity of nature.
And we traveled to Eguchi. Silent, nostalgic, sitting in the dark with sleeping beauties, using memory as a way to reclaim his existence before it dissolves into the night.
And connecting them is this figure of the young woman, the temporal mirror, the thing they both need to see themselves clearly, even if seeing themselves destroys them.
Yes. And I think the final reflection here is that neither answer is correct. Roth isn't wrong for fighting, and Kawabata isn't right for accepting. They are just exposing the complex reality of how we view our own timeline.
We are all walking down that same road.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, we all run out of road.
We do. And as the source reminds us, this wasn't just a book review. It's a mirror for us, the listeners.
Which brings us to the big question. The source leaves us with a really provocative thought to end on. If literature, history, and philosophy are tools for thinking rather than answer keys,
then how does your own culture shape the mirror in which you view your own mortality?
That's the question I want you to walk away with today. When you look in the mirror and see that first gray hair, or you feel that ache in your back that wasn't there yesterday, what is your instinct? Are you preparing for a fight? Are you looking for a buffer zone? Or are you preparing for a meditation?
And is that reaction truly yours, or is it something your culture handed to you?
It makes you think. Maybe the bravest thing isn't to fight or to accept, but just to look in the mirror and see yourself clearly, without needing someone else, a temporal mirror, to validate you.
That might be the hardest path of all.
Something to chew on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the light and shadow of aging.
It was a pleasure.
Keep asking questions, keep looking for meaning, and we'll see you on the next one.